Hi everyone, Jordan the DIY film guy, and today this is a video tip of how to pick the best settings for your camera. Basically, it's Camera 101, about to walk you through the fundamentals. Let's get started. You get that camera, it's your first ever camera, maybe it's a graduation gift, maybe it's a camera that you inherited. You pick it up and you go to shoot, and you put it in automatic mode, and then you film for the day, give back to your computer, and you look at the images, and they're washed out, they're noisy, they're overexposed, they're underexposed. You don't know where to go. Well, this is the video for you. The first thing you want to do is you want to turn off that auto mode. Never ever use auto. Well, you can use auto, but never ever use auto. I prefer to go old school, full manual. This camera is going to be full manual mode, and as you see right now, I'm going to turn on our camera settings. We have some settings here. On the bottom half of that screen, you see a lot of information. I'm like, man, what is this M, this 709L, this 4K 30p? What is this like moving little thing here going on? I'm going to explain those to you. So, first thing we want to do is the fundamentals. We want to check our settings in full manual. And if you need to change that, you go to the top of your camera and you turn it to the M. First thing I notice in the bottom half of the screen, we're gonna highlight those for you. So we have that 9.0, that is your aperture. Next to that we have the shutter, which is at 1/400th of a second currently. From there we have that crazy looking ISO number, H204-800. That is 204,800 ISO. You do never want to do that high. I mean, that is very high. And you can probably see in this image of our cameraman Raphael here, it is very, very grainy. It is washed out, almost looks green. That's not what we want. What do we want? Well, first thing, we want to understand the capabilities of your camera. And that is, for this camera, the GH5s ISO. So I'm going to go to ISO, and I just know for a fact I'm not going to shoot at maximum ISO. I know the maximum clean ISO out of this camera from doing my camera test for the GH5s is 6400 ISO. I'm going to set that puppy right there. And you can see right now that it is still dark and I can't see Raphael. I barely can see Raphael. We want to see Raphael, and we should all see Raphael. So how are we going to fix that? Well, we're going to go in here to our aperture, and we're going to bring our aperture up from an f9 to as maximum as we can go on this particular lens, which is an f3.5. We open up that iris from a small hole to a bigger hole. It's allowing more light to come in. We can see Raphael a little bit better, but we still have a problem, and that is that our shot is not exposed. It's dark. A lot of people say it's dark, it's out of focus, it's fuzzy. You get that a lot. From there, what we want to do is check our waveform. You can see that there's this yellow image that's on the left-hand side of that box. What that's telling me is that all that image is captured in the dark shadows. So if you look at from the left to the right, that's going to from your darks to your lights. So what I want to do, if you watch that little yellow box, I want to go to my shutter now, and I'm going to open up my shutter. I'm going to keep going, and I'm keep going. You see how it's changing? Now look at that. Right there, it goes into an even exposure. If you look at that box, it went from yellow to white. That's basically the camera sensing that that is the middle gray of the exposure, meaning that everything is in the middle. But what's not accurate from my experience is I'm looking at Raphael, he looks a little bit overexposed a little bit, and we want to bring that down. I also want to make sure that my frame rate, which is 30 frames per second at the top of the screen, we'll point to that little box there, is I need to have a double the shutter on that. So what that means is if we have 30 frames per second, I need to be at 60 frame or 60 shutter to have that 2 times rule. Now looking at that image, it's starting to kind of get somewhere for me. I'm looking at it as my eye now, I'm looking at the highlights. For the most part, I see a little bit of washed out highlights. I would probably, from my experience, always go a little bit darker than what the monitor shows me. So I would probably try to drop my ISO a little bit to 3200, which I know is a lot more cleaner. You know what? It's starting to look pretty good. I'm probably going to settle with about 4000. How about that? Yeah, that looks a lot better. We can see Raphael. We can get a cleaner picture. If you look at our shadows now, it's not going to have much noise. We can actually have some color depth in the image, and that's how you properly expose using the cameraman fundamentals, aperture, shutter, and ISO. Hope you enjoyed this tip. This is story in the making.